Welcome to Blackboard Basics for Students. This is the 9th video in a 9-part series, and this video will cover some of my personal tips for success in an online class. Online classes are not for everyone. The format of learning and assessment in an online class is quite different from a traditional class. There is added emphasis on learning from reading and expressing your knowledge in writing. In addition, an online class often requires self-motivation and time management skills that are different from what students may be used to from a traditional in-person class. As such, I will discuss a few of my tips for success in an online class. These tips are based on my own experiences in taking online classes, discussions with students in online classes, and discussions with other faculty who teach online classes. These are just my personal suggestions for success. I imagine that other instructors or experts may have other suggestions. First, students should consider time management skills. Online classes require a lot of dedication and self-motivation. If you were in my intro psych class that met every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m., you would be unlikely to forget to come to class. However, because online classes usually don't have a set schedule, it is easier to forget or miss a deadline. Thus, setting aside specific time to work on an online class is very important. Students taking a 3-unit, 14-week course should expect to spend 10 to 12 hours or more per week on that class. This would include time to read the material, watch any videos, complete class assignments, participate in discussion boards, and study for exams. Setting aside enough time each week is important for doing well in an online class. A second tip is to keep track of due dates and upcoming assignments. I always print out multiple copies of the class schedule and due dates and post them in a couple different places so that they are easily accessible. I've also suggested to students to set an alert on their phones or computers for each of the due dates. As you complete each item, cross it off your class calendar so that you know that it is complete. As the weeks blend together, you may forget which assignment you already completed. This is especially important if you're taking more than one online class, as it's easy to mix up assignments for the different classes. Third, I highly recommend students not wait until the last minute to complete assignments. This goes without saying. I'm sure you've heard this since you were in elementary school. Psychologists who study learning and memory find that students learn better when they distribute their studying over time and review material every day. Similar to building a muscle, your brain needs practice and repetition to learn new information. But another reason to work ahead in your online class is because you are working asynchronously with your classmates and instructor. This means that if you have a question about the material or an assignment, the best way to have it answered is to email or contact your instructor. However, it is unlikely that your instructor is available to answer your question at the exact time that you think of it. So if you waited until the night an assignment is due, it is unlikely that your instructor would be available to answer your question before you have to turn it in. In addition, it is a good idea to be prepared. Technical difficulties are bound to occur in an online class. Working on assignments in advance will give you time to contact either the instructor or the student help desk to solve the issue before the due date of the assignment. You may want to have a plan for what to do if your computer is broken or lost. Think about where you can use or borrow a computer. Students at Saddleback and Irvine Valley College have access to computer labs on campus. You may also be able to use a computer at a public library or at a friend's house. It is a good idea to keep backup copies of your assignments saved to a flash drive or a cloud device so that you can access it on another computer. Know that online classes are reading and writing intensive. Students should feel comfortable learning from reading textbooks or written lectures and also feel comfortable sharing their knowledge and ideas through writing. If you need help in these areas, I recommend taking additional reading or writing classes before enrolling in an online class. However, students can also visit the tutoring center at Saddleback and Irvine Valley Colleges for assistance in their classes or search the internet for tips for strategies to learn by reading. Personally, I like the SQ3R method. See some of my favorite links in the general information section for this video. My last tip is to ask for help. Sometimes, students tell me that they don't want to email me because they feel as though they are bothering me. I don't feel that way at all. If you were in a traditional classroom and had a question, you might ask the question during lecture or stay after class to ask it. In an online class, you should still ask the questions that you have. You might send an email to your instructor, or your instructor might prefer students to ask questions in a discussion board. See your syllabus for details. What if your instructor doesn't respond to your emails? First, check your junk mailbox to see if it ended up there. Second, check the syllabus for information about communication. Were you supposed to include your section ticket number in the subject line of your email? Were you supposed to ask questions in a discussion board and not by email? Did your instructor mention a turnaround time to respond to emails in the syllabus? I tell students that I will respond to emails within 24 hours on weekdays and not to expect responses on weekends or holidays. Third, if you have done everything correctly, try resending the email with a friendly reminder to your instructor. Occasionally, I have lost emails as I sort through all the emails that I get each day. Online classes take a lot of dedication and hard work. Having taken some online classes myself, I know the importance of self-motivation and commitment. It may help to take a few moments to write down some of the reasons you are taking the class and posting it somewhere visible. Review those reasons whenever you feel your motivation slipping. Good luck! Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Check out the link to other videos in the Blackboard Basics for Students series in the General Information section below.